Netanyahu of Israel has confirmed Hamas Gaza chief has been gunned down. Yahya Sinwar has been killed. Israel confirming this. Sinwar took leadership after his brother Yahya's death in 2024, both responsible for orchestrating the attacks on Israel. COVID's comeback. India reports the highest deaths in a year. New fast-spreading variant, the NB181 variant, fueling global surge. In India, the death toll has now risen to 13. Three Indians missing in Iran amid alleged kidnapping claims. Families cite ransom videos, say the moment they landed in Iran, they were kidnapped. Some videos were shared with the family members and now they are worried for their safety. It's been a few days since they are missing. Indian embassy now seeking action. Now, these men were en route to Australia illegally. It was a donkey route that they were attempting at. At this point, they are caught in a large, rather deeper trouble. And Chandrababu Naidu wins the 30th term as TDP chief. Naidu urges the NDA, saying that there should be unity within the alliance partners, praises the centre's caste census decision, of course reinforcing the alliance in the state. And news coming in on mock drills to be held in border states tomorrow. Those states bordering Pakistan, emergency responses now to carry out some cross-border preparedness checks and tests. Mock drills to be carried out. Punjab, though, says it's not tomorrow. That's to happen in a few days from now. Prime Minister Modi to attend Sikkim's 50th statehood celebrations tomorrow. Temporary closures announced in Gangtok for events, smooth conduct. Here, Omar Abdullah says Pahalgam attack won't halt Jammu and Kashmir statehood talks. Raises restoration issue at the recent NITI Aayog meeting. As per the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, he is going to reiterate and push for statehood at the earliest. Now here's Ghulam Nabi Azad, who's currently recuperating. He was hospitalized in Kuwait amid the MP delegation from India reaching Kuwait post-Operation Sindoor. Here, Ghulam Nabi Azad fell ill. Hospitalized Prime Minister Modi wishing him a speedy recovery. Now, Sena UBT leader threatens to blacken Rahul Gandhi's face. In fact, the Sena UBT though distances itself, but here's the threat that Rahul Gandhi faces, that his face will be blackened. All right, I'm going to begin today with COVID worries and concerns that's gripped the country. Let me tell you, 13 deaths have been reported in India so far, largely those with comorbidities, but one man died at the age of 40 today. And he had no comorbidities, there were no underlying health conditions. He was admitted to the hospital in a severe condition where he had acute respiratory illness, and 2 days into being at the hospital, he succumbed. I'm going to take you through all the details here. We're looking at 3 years later. As much as we thought COVID was done, COVID seems to be back in our lives. India is once again in the grip of a fresh wave. It's being fueled by a new and fast-spreading variant that has now shown up in the United States and across Asia. In the last 24 hours alone, India has reported 13 COVID deaths, the highest daily toll in nearly a year. Among them, a 40-year-old man from Chandigarh with no comorbidities who died just 2 days after being admitted with acute respiratory distress. In Chennai, in the last 24 hours, a 60-year-old man has died. He had multiple underlying conditions. He succumbed to COVID. In Maharashtra as well, today, A 67-year-old man from Dombivli who was unvaccinated, again he had pre-existing health conditions, has passed away. Health officials though insist there's nothing to panic as yet. The warnings are loud and clear though. COVID positive patients must isolate. Masks are back. Hospitals are currently on alert. What's raising eyebrows though is the variant that's now seeing a spike. That's the NB181 strain, which is also spreading globally. In the United States, that it's being detected, health experts say could be very risky for hospitalization surge, not just in the United States, in China, Hong Kong, of course, cases have been rampant there. They're the worst hit. Over 80 severe cases have been reported in just 4 weeks, 30 of them fatal. Most among them are seniors, though United States say many infants too have been infected. In India as well, we're looking at similar claims that several children have been infected. In Bengaluru, there have been cases of infants who've got COVID-19. Now, let me take you through the symptoms. As you see there very clearly, the NB181 symptoms include persistent cough, sore throat, fever, body ache, fatigue. In fact, some patients also report difficulty in breathing and loss of appetite. While Hong Kong officials have downplayed the variant's severity, US, though, on the contrary, scientists disagree, saying that there is a spike in hospitalization as well with this very variant. The virologist Subhash Verma in the United States confirms that this one is the one spreading much faster than previous variants. So here's what's changed. Despite rising threats, the CDC, United States, has updated its guidance, saying that healthy children and pregnant women do not need COVID vaccinations anymore, but isolation masking is mandatory. Trump administration, on its part, is proposing to restrict annual boosters only to seniors and high-risk groups, basically saying that children with good immunity do not need it. So they've reworked on their guidelines, saying that vaccination for young children not really mandatory, but at the same time, for senior citizens, it's all the more imperative that they are vaccinated. This, of course, raises multiple questions here. Are public health agencies in India at this point really stepping up? We hope not to see what we saw the years gone by. Multiple waves of COVID. This again seems like deja vu. Just hope that we are prepared. Hospitals are gearing up, but you and I are equally responsible. Isolate, wear your masks at public spaces. Let me take you through news coming in from Karnataka's Mangaluru. It seems like there was an untold bandh in the coastal region today as communal and gang rivalry reports have once again surfaced that's left the entire region in absolute shock. In a shocking sword attack in Bantwal Taluk's Kambodi Irakodu, 42-year-old man Abdul Rahim was brutally killed and another youth was injured in a suspected targeted assault that has shaken Dakshina Kannada district. In the aftermath of the incident, Congress's Muslim leaders in Dakshina Kannada are now likely to resign en masse. In fact, this was a decision that was led by the district minority unit president, saying that enough is enough. A lot of the local Muslim people there are being targeted, and therefore Congress members from that community have decided that they are going to en masse resign in a sign of protest against the same Congress who's currently in power. A meeting is also scheduled to take place at the Shadi Mahal Hall in Mangaluru itself to decide on this en masse resignation. The move is a protest against the Congress government, with this viral audio clip also fueling speculation. In fact, this man who was killed, Rahiman, a resident of the Kolatamajalu area, was reportedly, we hear, unloading sand when the murder took place. Two assailants on a bike attacked him with a sword. He died on the spot due to grievous injuries. In fact, he was rushed to the hospital but was declared brought dead. And here we're looking at huge protests that panned out today. A massive procession that took off. Karnataka Minister Dinesh Gundarao condemned the incident, saying justice will be served. Let's listen in.
Very unfortunate incident yesterday that has happened. Attempt to murder of two people. One Mr. Abdul Rahim and one more person, Shafi. And unfortunately, one of them passed away yesterday. And both of them are, what the background if we checked, one was a secretary of a mosque and they were supplying sand. and they have no criminal background, nothing. All are normal people, and there's no background to them of any criminal activity. So it looks like it is a very revenge murder, and police are looking into all aspects. So I'm sure that the police will apprehend all the people who are responsible for this, and see that those who have done this heinous crime of murdering an innocent man, they'll be brought to book.
All right, now the incident has sowed tensions. You're looking at the scores of people there who are out on the streets in solidarity with the man who died, and also raising questions of law and order, security enforcement in place in Mangaluru coastal region. Back-to-back murders, these gang rivalries, cases that have now come to light has really left the entire region tense. The incident has now erupted in absolute backlash to the sitting Congress regime, asking questions about safety of locals there. Situation has turned volatile. The police had to eventually come by to pacify the crowds and even cleared the crowds, the swelling crowds that had panned out today in Mangaluru. This is what Mangaluru looked like. Despite security and police officials in place, you had a procession. Despite prohibitory orders, remember, Mangaluru right now is simmering. There are prohibitory orders in place. There has been a ban on any kind of gatherings, but yet people defiant, angry, have come out on the streets condemning this law and order failure. An unofficial Bandh was declared in Mangaluru all across, and these were tense situations. Nearly 2,000 police personnel had to be deployed on the ground. Social media has now yet again reignited with several revenge threats, particularly via an Instagram page that was called Target Boy. Now, as you have processions and protests there, you have people targeting some of the faces you see on our screens there, saying these are people who are responsible for the murder that happened in the last 24 hours, targeting these very Bajrang Dal members. Bharat Kumdal, the main accused in the murder of SDPI worker Ashraf Kalyani. You have people now putting out his images on social platforms saying, we'll take revenge against you. This is the kind of gang rivalry that we're seeing openly pan out in Mangaluru. To crack the case, Dakshina Kannada SP Yatish has now formed 5 police teams. The case has been filed against 15 individuals, including acquaintances of the victim, Deepak and Sumit. Let's listen in what the cops had to say.
One incident of assault has been reported at Bantwala Rural Police Station limits in Koltamajalu village, wherein 2 youths about 30 to 35 years were attacked by unknown assailants, of which one person has succumbed and the other person is undergoing treatment at the hospital. And in this regard, we have registered a case in Bantwala Rural Police Station. Investigation is going on.
Right now, where you have huge crowds that have gathered there, Mangaluru at this point remains on the boil. Unofficial reports of a bandh, shops and establishments have been shut down, and there have been appeals. In fact, multiple appeals from locals who have nothing to do with this to intervene at the earliest and get the city back functioning. All right, taking you through Congress in Karnataka, who is now appealing for all the boost and encouragement that the armed forces should get after Operation Sindoor. Congress seems to have come back with another show of solidarity for our armed forces. This time it happened in Bengaluru's town hall. The party held a Jai Hind Sabha, a nationwide campaign to salute India's soldiers, while also sharpening its attacks on the Modi government over defense lapses. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, K.C. Venugopal, Randeep Surjewala led the event wearing army jackets, headed over by ex-servicemen in a symbolic salute. A gesture that set the tone, respect for the forces, but also a reckoning for the centre. Congress did not just honour the soldiers, it also raised a question against the centre, asking why vacancies in the army were still pending. Why hasn't the government, these are questions raised by the Congress, asking why hasn't the government clarified its stance on ceasefire with Pakistan? And why have you not filled up all the vacancies that the army has had for many years? And also asking, is the United States trade pressure shaping India's national security decisions? K.C. Venugopal accused the Modi government of silence on the ceasefire pact, claiming foreign policy is being compromised under external pressure. Surjewala also demanding urgent action on military recruitments and reforms. Let's hear it.
Why this U-turn has happened suddenly? What was the terms and conditions of this ceasefire? Why the Prime Minister is completely silent?
Present them to the media.
In the US President Donald Trump's shocking claim that
You may now return back to your seat.
he pressurized India into a ceasefire using trade. Is India foreign policy now being dictated by foreign powers? Because the silence of it, when Trump, you see that who tweeted on this thing, the first tweet coming from American president. We expected a reaction from Indian Prime Minister or Indian Foreign Minister. The silence gives the impression that the foreign policy is no longer sovereign. It is being dictated from Washington, not from Delhi.
Questions that should also be asked of the government were also asked, that were elaborated in detail by General Secretary Organization Mr. K.C. Venugopal, as also all others. The nation must stand in unison to support our armed forces. 1,75,000 posts are today vacant in our armed forces. 84,000 posts are vacant in central paramilitary forces. Out of 45 or 48 air squadrons that have been sanctioned, only 24 are functional. Instead of doing regular recruitments, we have recruitments of contract armed personnel. That is demoralizing the armed forces.
All right, let me cut across to the big story that's currently brewing between two southern states. Tensions now erupt between two states of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Karnataka is up in arms over Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu's pitch to the centre asking to bring HAL to Andhra Pradesh. HAL, as you know, India's pride in the sky, the beating heart of our aerospace ambitions, from fighter jets like the LCA Tejas to the upcoming stealth AMCA. HAL's units in Bengaluru and Tumkuru are really the backbone of indigenous defence manufacturing in India. Karnataka's top guns have fired back. Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, Minister M.B. Patil, Chief Minister himself, Siddaramaiah, all warning if HAL isn't just a factory, it's an ecosystem. If it is shifted, we will protest vehemently. Shifting operations, partially or otherwise, could destabilize decades of investment, talent, strategic depth. This is precisely what the Karnataka government has said in its stance.
I want my parliament members and my central ministers who are there to react on this. But as a government, we will not allow anything to be shifted.
We offered 10,000 acres of land near to Bengaluru, sir.
We have all those lands with us only. We have given in Tumkur for HAL. We have given for helicopter division. We will give land. What is there? If they want to expand, we will give. Let them have any new thing. I don't want to come in their way. But as far as Karnataka is concerned, it is our pride. Nehruji gave us.
I do not know. As far as my knowledge goes, it cannot be.
So he is requesting to the union minister.
He may request many things.
He requested central civil minister.
It will not be shifted.
Karnataka has got a great ecosystem of aerospace and defence. With 67% of the contribution to the nation comes from Karnataka. You take Airbus, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Safra, anyone. And recently, though, you saw this Tata Airbus is one happening here. Globally, we stand number 3. The ecosystem is we are number 3rd in the globally. Not nationally, it's 67, Karnataka. Such a great ecosystem, and HAL will also always look into the ecosystem here. And as far as land is concerned, we offered them land in Chittadurga, another for Tumkur, and we have offered land in Adinana Hosahalli. another 100 acres for this one. So that is not an issue.
Now, what we know is Chandrababu Naidu's offer stands at a sprawling 10,000-acre land near Lepakshi, barely 70 kilometers from the Karnataka border. He's pitched that as the next HAL expansion zone. Note that very clearly. The next HAL expansion zone. Basically to suggest it's not to move HAL to Andhra Pradesh, but basically to open up another arm of HAL in Andhra Pradesh. Well, the fight goes beyond geography. It's about aerospace, economics, jobs, political leverage. With India now eyeing self-reliance in defense, every state now wants a slice of the sky. The final call, of course, rests on the centre with HAL, whether it will touch down in Andhra Pradesh or not, or whether this will entirely and firmly stay grounded in Karnataka. A decision is yet to come about. Kamal Haasan, the actor turned politician, let's begin with the actor himself, ran into controversy while he was promoting his film The Thug Life when he said Kannada language has originated from Tamil. Let me take you through. He's now come around to not apologize but give context to it. Kamal Haasan has clarified, will not apologize, but says that he wants to give a clarification. He says love will never apologize, and whatever he said came out of love. That's what the veteran actor Kamal Haasan has said, coming forward with a heartfelt clarification after days of fierce backlash from pro-Kannada groups and political leaders over his recent remarks linking Kannada's origin to Tamil. The actor, who has worked in multiple Kannada films, shares a long association with the industry itself, seemed equally hurt after facing that controversy. He also received a lot of threats, boycott calls for his film Thug Life. Kamal, though, has clarified that his statement was not meant to offend, but came from a sheer place of love. Here's what he said in clarification.
They are confusing the issue. I think what I said was said out of love, and with a lot of historians have taught me language history, and that I didn't mean anything.
Now, he told reporters that love will never apologize. He says that he wasn't issuing an apology really, but only offering an explanation, citing that he has spoken to language historians and he believes that Kannada has some kind of origin with Tamil. That apart, he says it was all coming out of a place of love, saying how much he loves Kannada and Kannadigas. He reaffirms his respect for Karnataka itself. In fact, Kamal Haasan invoked Tamil Nadu's inclusion in the political fabric. He says, look how open and loving, accommodating Karnataka is. He says, Karnataka has such diverse communities like the Menins, the Reddys, Tamils, Kannadas, all of them who've become state chief ministers as well. That's how open and wholehearted Karnataka is as a state, expressing confidence that Karnataka will stand by him and his film and will continue to love him the way they always did. The controversy erupted at the Thug Life audio launch that happened in Chennai while Kamal Haasan was speaking to a crowd, and there seated was Kannada superstar Shivraj Kumar. And while speaking about the film and Tamil as a language, Kamal Haasan went on to say, Kannada also, I would say, was born from Tamil itself. Here's what he said, taking you through exactly what landed him in controversy.
இது அந்த ஊரில் இருக்கும் என் குடும்பம், அதனால தான் அவர் இங்கே வந்திருக்காரு. அதனால தான் நான் பேச்சை ஆரம்பிக்கும் பொழுது நான் உயிரே உறவே தமிழே என்று ஆரம்பித்தேன். அதில் தமிழிலிருந்து பிறந்தது தான் உங்கள் பாஷையும், அதனால் நீங்களும் அதில் உட்படுவீர்கள்.
Right, now that got him into a lot of trouble. Karnataka BJP President B.Y. Vijayendra accused Kamal Haasan of disrespecting Kannada, demanded an unconditional apology. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah too criticizing the actor, saying Kamal Haasan lacked knowledge of Kannada's rich heritage. Kannada activists like the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike also threatened to disrupt his film promotions unless Kamal Haasan apologizes. Those are protests that were carried out as well, saying they will boycott Thug Life and disrupt its release in Karnataka. Kamal Haasan, though, stands his ground, saying it came from a sheer place of love, no apology, but all the context given. Perhaps he hopes that love and cinema will prevail. Now, Kamal Hassan, the politician. He's headed to the parliament on a Rajya Sabha seat thanks to the DMK in Tamil Nadu. DMK has picked MNM chief Kamal Hassan as its nominee for the upcoming Rajya Sabha polls, marking his debut in the national legislature. As part of its alliance deal, the DMK has now allotted one of Tamil Nadu's 6 Rajya Sabha seats to its partner Makkal Nidhi Mayam, a strategic signal ahead of 2026. DMK will contest 4 seats, including renominating senior advocate P. Wilson. Also on the list is Salem-based leader S.R. Sivalingam and also writer-poet Kavignar Salma. As per the Election Commission biennial polls that will be held on 8th of June, Rajya Sabha seats that will be elected, 6 from Tamil Nadu, 2 from Assam. So these are the names that have been given by the DMK. The retiring members represent DMK, AIDMK, PMK and MDMK. Based on the current strength, the DMK-led alliance could grab up to 5 seats. So it's very possible, it seems at this point inevitable, that Kamal Hassan will now be in the Rajya Sabha. Nominations will close on the 9th of June. If required, voting will be held on the 19th of June, with results coming in the same evening. For Kamal Hassan, this isn't just a seat. Clearly, it's a national pitch from the upper house. He's always wanted to be part of the political clout. He's had his opportunity here. All right, we're looking at a bold diplomatic push. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has proposed a high-stakes trilateral summit involving himself, former US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, aimed at ending Moscow's prolonged invasion of Ukraine. Remember, multiple attempts that Russia and Ukraine have had to come to a negotiation table has failed constantly, with either one side breaching the discussions or ceasefire pact that they may have briefly come to. Speaking to reporters, Zelensky has said he's open to any format that might bring the end to this conflict, adding that he's ready for a Trump-Putin-Zelensky summit if needed. And even if it's needed to be held in Russia, he's willing to go. The Kremlin, of course, swiftly rejected the idea. President Putin's spokesperson says any such meeting would only happen after concrete agreements are reached in lower-level negotiations. Putin has previously refused to recognize Zelensky as a legitimate leader, dismissing earlier proposals for direct talks, including a failed peace initiative in Istanbul this month. Meanwhile, the battlefield remains active. Russia claims nearly 300 Ukrainian drones were shot down overnight, marking a new escalation in aerial assaults from both sides. Donald Trump, of course, very recently called Russia President Putin as a crazy man. But here is Zelensky almost urging and hoping that Russia comes to the negotiation table, with Trump being the mediator. And finally, here's a look at Starship. Elon Musk-run Starship, the big space adventure, seems to have failed yet again. Its 9th test has failed. SpaceX's boldest test yet of its giant Starship rocket has ended in another fiery failure. Minutes after the launch from Texas today, the 123-meter spacecraft spun out of control, disintegrated mid-air far from its intended splashdown in the Indian Ocean. The mission had big ambitions to deploy satellites, test key systems for future NASA moon landings. But problems began early. The hatch door wouldn't open. Then the rocket started tumbling. And finally, it broke apart in what SpaceX blandly calls a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. This was the first Starship to fly with a reused booster. Even that did not make it. Contact was lost. Booster shattered over the Gulf of Mexico. Initial reports suggest that fuel leaks have been really the reason. That was what triggered the failure, fuel leak. NASA, though, is watching closely. Starship is crucial to its Artemis program, especially the 2027 mission to land astronauts on the moon. For now, goalposts haven't shifted, but the pressure is certainly building. A reminder that road to space isn't just rocket science. It's trial by fire. And let me tell you, of course, Elon Musk, SpaceX, refusing to admit that this was a failure, saying this is test. We will continue testing repeatedly until we finally achieve success. On that note, I'm going to slip into a short break. We're coming back with a very important discussion on the United States pausing admissions for all international students, including scores of Indians who are now this year wanting to go to the United States. Their admissions have been paused because at this point, the United States has made it mandatory for social media vetting before allowing anyone into the country. A lot more in detail on the other side.
For all of you corporates over here, welcome you all to the academy.
The all-new range of perfumes by Wildstone. लोग तो notice करेंगे.
ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಯೋಚಿಸಬೇಡಿ. ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು ನಾನು ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೂಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ ದುಡ್ಡಿಂದ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸನ್ನ ಈಡೇರಿಸಬಹುದು.
ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಾರ.
Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwalas.
Welcome back. Let me take you through news coming in from the United States that's really disturbed the student community, largely Indians wanting to study in the United States. This year could be real trouble. The US State Department has halted scheduling new student visa interviews worldwide, citing national security concerns and campus unrest. Even though the scheduled interviews will proceed as planned, as on their, in fact, right now this is the interview season. We hear it's currently been paused because there's going to be excessive vetting of their social media profiles, and that's going to make the entire situation terribly slow. In fact, the move was directed by none other than Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who issued this notification itself. He said, and I quote, "Effective immediately in preparation for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting, consular sections should not add any additional student or exchange visitor FMNJ visa appointments capacity until further guidance is issued." Well, that's a direct notice there to halt all further visa interviews of students globally. Earlier in March this year, Marco Rubio has referred to foreign students who he claimed were coming to the US not to study but to engage in protests. So this is exactly what they want to filter, is what the Trump administration claims. Now this comes at the back of another controversy involving Howard University. Just days ago, the DHS attempted to stop the prestigious school from enrolling international students and asked for a list of all foreign students at the university, claiming their home countries contribute nothing towards education in the United States, and more importantly, those indulging in any protests, their background, their history, all of it should be given to the US administration. And it appears Howard had failed to do so, and therefore they've fallen out of favor from the US government now. There are more than 1.1 million international students who've enrolled across United States colleges and universities just during the last year, 2023 to 24 intervening academic year. According to a report by the National Association of Foreign Student Advisor, foreign students pump nearly $43.8 billion annually into the United States economy and support over 378,000 jobs in the country. And Indian students top the list. We've even overtaken China. Nearly 331,000 Indian students are currently studying in the United States as of 2024 data. This directive is expected to have a profound impact on Indian students who, from who form the largest international student community in the United States and could also derail thousands of academic journeys. What's the future now for these students? Let me take you through a quick look. According to official data from 2024, out of 8,92,000 odd Indian students abroad, 3,31,000 itself in the United States alone. So that's a large chunk of Indian students internationally who are concentrated in the United States. India and Indians, the largest international community, like I did mention. This figure represents 29.4% of the total 1.12 lakh international students in the United States. The Indian students alone contribute nearly 8 billion in 2019 to the US economy. So what happens to the thousands of students aiming to join US universities this semester of 2025? US is certainly the top destination, so this is going to be really hurting bad. Consular offices will now examine posts. They're going to check your likes, check your comments, all the shares that you've put out on your social media platforms, all including Instagram, TikTok, X predominantly, to identify the content that you've been putting out, the kind of content and narrative that you support. Well, questions on really what really happens to the freedom of speech that the world's largest democracy always advocated. United States really going against its basic tenets. Let me take you through a little more in detail with our panelists joining on board. Sudhanshu Kaushik, Executive Editor, North American Association of Indian Students. Also joining us, Rohit Bhatt, lawyer of Supreme Court of India, and also an alumna of Harvard University. Thank you for joining us. We also have Aritra Ghoshal, founder and director, One Step Global, and Surinder Singh Lali, advisor to HRD, Government of India and Foreign Affairs expert, United States and Canada. Let me bring in someone from the administration itself who really understands the layout. Surinder Singh Lali, your take on what's happened here. It's a big shock for international students, Indians specifically, if I could speak for them. We're looking at the largest US student community who are Indians at this point left in limbo. What really happens to their future? What does this really mean? Where did the freedom of speech advocacy go really from the United States?
Thank you, Nabila. It's such a pleasure and honor for me to be here, but I'm a bit scared. I mean, you said social media vetting. Am I like in court? Whatever I say here would be held against me the next day when I land on any airport in America. I mean, so much so for the freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So I don't know, but I'm still going to stick my neck out and share. Nabila, this gentleman is an extremely intriguing enigma. I mean, I'm going to practice all sorts of political correctness for obvious reasons. I don't know. I mean, I remember I used to see this commercial back in the US about Levi's jeans, and, they put those jeans on World Trade Center and said the gene that built America. So I don't know if Donald Trump is totally catering to the Rust Belt states and taking it back to, the New Jersey kind of what Bruce Springsteen sang in his songs, the blue collar worker. Or does he understand that America and American hegemony is extremely powerful on basis of the software? I mean, a lot of their, out of the top 10 countries in the world, I think 7 are companies which are technology based and were found in a garage, and most of them were, either aided, abetted, or in some manner influenced by Indians. So I don't know. I mean, I'll start with the Indians at home. Our startups exceed over 195 billion USD. Yeah. 72 unicorns out of the 648 are led by us Indians. 35 of the 50 top US colleges have Indians in the leadership position. We contribute over $1.5 billion in charity. So I don't know if he has a personal axe to grind because, his son didn't get into it. I'm going to get back to all of this in the later part of the debate. Or is this really trying to curtail free speech, or is this a personal agenda? But obviously, I hope this is not like a case of throw the baby out with the bathwater, because it beats my intelligence on what could be the possible gain for a country which is absolutely gaining intellectual property and intellectual rights, Nabila.
I really fear for the students' future, considering that parents in India really spend a lot. It's really their possibly their entire lives' earnings into their child's future, putting in that kind of money, sending them to the United States, only to find out that they're now no more going to be continuing their education from the desired university that they went to. And Harvard is expensive. It's mighty expensive. If I can bring in the alumna of Harvard who joins us, Rubin Bhatt. Thanks very much for taking your time, Rubin. A quick word on Harvard clashing with the Trump regime. Trump asking for students' data, their background, social media vetting, unlike the United States that we've known all along.
Well, yes and no. I think the attack on this university started with alleged anti-Semitism that was going on when students were protesting against Israel's genocide in Gaza. And what has now turned into multiple attacks on the president trying to curtail academic freedom by monitoring the academic curriculum that is taught, to having freezes in funding from both NIH and CDC. They've disqualified Harvard from future federal grants, so on and so forth. But what this means for a truly liberal arts education, I think, is that it is a worrying trend. We are seeing executive fiat being used as an absolute attack against freedom of speech and expression of students, more so when social media today is becoming perhaps the primary mode of communication in the country and across the world.
Okay, Sudhanshu, you're currently in the United States. What's the real feedback? You've been part of an association advocating for students' rights in the US. What's been large feedback coming in from the student community in the United States? I'm not too sure if I can say if US is still the most desirable destination for Indians to study. I'd certainly say no with the current progress. But what's the pulse you catch on the ground?
Nabila, it's apprehension. It's a level of fear that I don't think we've seen, whether it was the first administration in 2016, whether it was the student ban that happened in 2020, whether it was the COVID-inflicted student ban that happened as well. There are so many apprehensions when it comes to international students, more specifically Indian students, because we're unsure what happens next. Every single day is a new, administrative order, a new executive order. Every single day is a new little caveat to the rules. And every single day is the Trump administration trying to find some loophole to make the lives of international students' lives that already were hard, that were already difficult, that already had so many loopholes, whether it was the Biden administration, whether it was Obama's administration, even more difficult. And so right now, you're truly facing where students are thinking, is it worth it? Is it worth it to risk my life? Is it worth it to risk a student loan debt that I will never be able to pay off? Is it risk it to be unemployed for the rest of my life? And is it risk it to be able to even not even be able to get a degree? In some cases, imagine, Nabila, some people have had to self-deport after working on a PhD degree for 5 years. You can't just transfer out and get those credits back. It's gone. And so the apprehensions are so much so. And, there's a state of confusion. I don't know if it's chaos yet, but there's definitely confusion. And I think with the student interview slots being kind of paused on hold, I think it'll go into chaos. But what do you do? Right? You just don't know what comes next because you thought what could have happened, the worst of the worst could have happened, that you thought it has already happened. No, you now can pause student interviews and with no kind of guideline to when it'll come back on. You
have thankfully the courts that have been firefighting a lot of the rulings that have been arbitrary in nature. Has that deterred the Trump administration one bit?
Obviously not, because they keep coming back with these weird, junky administrative executive orders and trying to just test the courts as much as possible. You're right that there has been pushback. So exactly what Harvard's losing its nonprofit status, Harvard's ability to accept international students, the court has pushed back. It's allowed at least a pause, a moratorium of sorts, to be able to go as it works through the court. But you just don't know. I mean, and in the same way, Nabila, like a lot of executive orders that have come out have actually gone through the courts, and Trump has had their way on some of them. So you just don't know which one will go through and which one won't, right? And as you know, the makeup of the topmost body of the court is pro-Trump in ways. So I think that, yes, there's respite, but you just don't know for how long.
Aritra Ghoshal could probably give us a little more about the sense that prevails in the United States now against immigrant students. Now, Indian community comprises the largest student population in the US. One clear question, is it advisable for Indians to want to study in the US at this point? Even if they do get through, it seems like the future is uncertain with the current happenings.
I think, it's not, let's not press the panic button right now only, but as an ex-international student who has studied, I've studied in the UK though, but the problem is I concur with what he was saying, that it's a state of confusion. And this confusion is just becoming prevalent every day, because we are talking about young adults and their families who have spent a lot of, or who are, financing a lot of money here. But still, I will say that let's not press the button, the panic button right now. What aspiring students should do is that they should start doing, the social media hygiene that this particularly they're talking about. See, let's be realistic. If you want to go, you have to kind of fall in a place which is actually there is a curtail of or freedom of speech. The second thing is that any student who is trying to go to US may or may not start thinking about a plan B. There are other destinations across the world, so maybe look into certain plan B and options and have those plan B options. The third thing that you can do is that keep calm and just see it out for another 7-10 days before they actually come out with the prerogative or the ruling and whatever it is. They have just stalled it. They have not said that what else is going to happen right now. So they have stalled it. So what I will say is, let's not. Stalling
is more than enough to leave a whole bunch of them anxious. It's a whole year gone, and time is of essence at this point. It's a whole year gone. If this 2 months, it's done now, or it's not.
No, it's not that that simple. It's going to not be that simple, because there are thousands of students and universities. Let's talk about the universities. What they are going to do? They're going to start. Hopefully they do these things. Hybrid classes, pushed out dates, so that these guys can have the time to go in and start their intake. And because fall intake is the biggest intake for US, so universities also need to kind of pivot a little bit. Because see, the thing is that you just can't debate a very, obnoxious rulings. And I'm
but fortunately we are debating. Fortunately, we are debating that there's no debate happening in the Trump administration. Had they debated the fallout of this, I would assume this ruling wouldn't have come in place. So at least we are debating the actual repercussions. Yeah. Okay, a quick word before I come to Sudhanshu. Sir, hold on. Let me go over to Surinder Singh Lali. Sir, I'd like to ask you, United States is not going to think for Indian students. What's the Indian government, in your view, doing? Is there any intervention, any help, or a way to reach out to these aggrieved students who are right now stuck in the middle? Like, if they're studying in Harvard, they've now got to shift or change universities. Is that what they've got to do? What really has happened there?
Nabila, there are colleges in America which are even older than some of the religions across the world. So I'm not too sure if overnight we can create such institutions which can replace. 56% of the students that come to America come for STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this is purely a figment of my imagination. Donald Trump wants to make America again, and he probably feels that these are fields in which he wants Americans to do that. I mean, there is also another theory that people who study and get to learn about the intellectual property right and go back to China and countries like Iran and help them develop technologies which they have learned at the cost of America, and they create that intellectual property back in their countries. So I don't know what was on his mind, but yes, what the Indian government at best can do is, just create the systems for them to be accommodated, but you can't do that overnight because, as I said, education itself gets America over $50 billion a year.
Yeah.
And, that's a lot of money. And this infrastructure can't be created overnight. I mean, the land cost, even if you see the land cost in India, where we're losing out to China, even if to set up an institution, there is so much political influencing in it. So it's not that easy to set up an institute in India and the prices that we pay. I mean, any big college that you go to America, if you look at the buildings, they're over a couple of 100 years old, if not older than that. So I think it'll be a mammoth task for the Indian government too.
Yeah. Sudhanshu, do give us a sense on vetting of social media platforms. What really happens to all the freedom of speech advocacy that has emerged predominantly from the United States, the world's largest democracy, where people are free to choose their the way of life, what they say, what they think. That US really set an example for the world. Where are you heading?
Yeah, before I answer, U.S. setting an example, I just want to go back to one point. Arithra said, let's not panic here, which I understand the sentiment. And actually, a lot of the colleagues that I've been speaking to that are involved in the U.S. higher education system as an industry, they're also, very optimistic that, nothing will happen, etc. I see what you're saying. I don't agree with it one bit. And it's not that I'm trying to evoke panic. I'm trying to be realistic. That the system was broken, that the people who benefited off of the U.S. higher education system were the universities and higher education folks who, started their startups or had these consultancies. Students benefited partially, but also came into so much debt because they didn't pick the right colleges, they didn't have the right financials in order. But most importantly right now, the situation is getting far out of control and the system in itself is about to break. I mean, this is not me, Nabila. The Trump appointee
So what are options?
Right now,
what are options? A quick word, Sudhanshu, what are options then?
So that's the thing. What options are left? Because Trump basically appointed or is trying to appoint a nominee to the Department of Homeland Services SEVP department, right? This guy goes under oath in front of Congress and says, I want to get rid of the OPT department. How are you not supposed to not create panic there when 2 years of free basically employment that you would get, employment that you would be allowed to work in to pay off your loans, they're trying to get rid of for STEM graduates. Okay. How are you supposed to even do that? In terms of, in terms of what you were saying is what are the options? Of course, one is look to other countries, right? Think about whether it's Germany, think about whether it's the UK, Australia, but it's really hard to keep up with the innovation that happens in the United States and the opportunities that do. The second thing I would say, Nabila, is think inwards. We just had a policy change where Indians are now, universities across the world are allowed to set up campuses within India. So we should be allowing these students and people to actually make sure that they stay within India. They're able to pay the tuition and they're able to get a world-class degree because now that's going to be possible here. Not to say that it wasn't before, but you're going to have more opportunities. So why not think inwards?
Right. Rohin, a final word as now we're close to wrapping up. You're a lawyer yourself here in India. What are the legal rights these students have? I know this is in the United States, but anything that they can do, those who are midway into visa interviews, it's now been stopped. So any recourse for them?
Well, look, I'm not qualified to give advice on United States law, so I would sort of be recalcitrant to do that. But I think it always helps to sort of err on the side of caution here, to delete, perhaps lock, if not delete your social media account, depending on how much control the government has over your social media platform and how much access does it have to it. We know probably sites like Twitter might grant access to government, which might potentially not be legal. Be that as it may, I think it always helps to sort of delete your account and err on the side of caution by staying shut for a while in the larger interest of things.
Heard you loud and clear. Thanks very much. Lali, a quick word, sir.
A quick word, setting up universities. My elder daughter went to the University of Marangoni in the Mumbai campus. So, they have a lavish campus all across the world. So when I went to the Mumbai campus in Worli, Nabila, it was only on 2 floors. So I went and spoke to the dean. I said, that's barely a campus. You just have 2 floors above a Jaguar dealership. They said the Mumbai prices are so high, we can't afford it. I rest my case on that.
Okay, Aritra, I'll have you have the last word here as I close.
I think, in the United States, as we are speaking, the world's largest higher education conference is going on in NAFSA, is actually in San Diego right now, is happening. And I hope that the sector overall, because student is one part of this sector, the universities, as you said, consultancies and startups, they're also helping students eventually, to achieve their dreams. So I think we all need to come together. And if we have to get panicked at what Donald Trump has said in the last 100 days, then the world is, and it's a beautiful world then, like if you have to believe in whatever he is saying. So I think we have to take it with a certain amount of pinch of grain here. And again, I'm saying that for the students and being an ex-international student, let's not just start panicking completely and lose your sleep. Just let's wait out for another week or so.
Okay, thank you very much. Terribly short of time. Appreciate all of you joining in with your views. On that note, I'm wrapping the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great night.
ನಮ್ಮ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ಗೂ ಹೋಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇಂದಾನೇ ಸಾಧ್ಯ.
ನನ್ನ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್.
ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸಿನ ಸಾಕಾರ.
What is to the nines?